Is the glass half empty or is it half full? Despite a weak Federal Reserve economic forecast, Wall Street remains positive. The Fed says things may appear to be better, but there's still a long way to go when it comes to economic recovery. Nonetheless, stocks rallied to hit a 7-day win streak. Tomorrow, the Senate is planning a final vote on a sweeping overhaul of financial regulations. The president believes this will prevent another financial crisis from ever happening. Is it a good idea? Joining us is our money man, president of RedCounty.com, Chip Hanlon. Chip, thanks for being here.
Good to be here, Fred.
You're a conservative. You believe in less government, but the government is inserting itself because people ran amok. Is this necessary?
There was one key area of financial reform that needed to happen, and that had to do with the derivatives markets, which essentially function as an unregulated insurance pool on debt. And so when debt markets collapsed, because the insurance aspect of it was not regulated, there was no insurance there. That really is what put the financial system at risk, is a financial system that thought it had hedged itself had not. And so the elements of this Dodd-Frank bill that take on the derivatives market are good. Aside from that, though, because it doesn't address the root cause of the problem, which was housing, and particularly Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, nor does it address too big to fail. Overall, this bill is a big airball, Fred.
Well, the Consumer Financial Protection Agency is going to be formed. It's being called a watchdog to guarantee consumers get the information they need. Well, what are you going to pick up the phone and call somebody?
Right. It's being called a lot of things. But let me just give you a little example of how absurd that agency is. Congressman here from Orange County, Ed Royce, who serves on financial services, tried to bring an amendment that said, listen, this new financial protection agency cannot issue any new rules that might put the financial stability of the entities that it regulates at risk. And that was voted down. So if it becomes a political arm, which it probably will, as Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae did, and a future Congress says something silly like, oh, at least 20% of all loans in the financial services industry need to go to subprime borrowers, or some such mandate that's good for political gain, that might put these institutions at risk, well, this entity can decree that, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. It's crazy.
All right, a big part of this is reining in Wall Street. That's what they're saying. How do you rein in Wall Street?
You don't rein in Wall Street. In fact, Wall Street ran amok because the rules of the game were specifically set by Congress for it to run amok. And again, it's the politics of affordable housing over a generation that did this. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, to protect their mandate and their advantages of really high yields, very, very low borrowing rates, and implied government backing, it decided that the way to protect itself and to even grow was to partner with the advocates of affordable housing in the early 90s. And that's when it started getting into making affordable housing loans for the first time. And later in that decade, in 1999, it was literally pushed by Congress into subprime, which is what caused the massive wave of capital, sloppy capital, into the markets. And because there was no rule saying that these banks had to hold onto any of the loans that they were making, they would just make these loans via Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and then they'd get rid of them. So they took on no risk. They were just transactions to them, and it caused this huge bubble. Again, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac have not been addressed, and this thing it does not address the root cause, and it does not guarantee that we won't have another problem like this down the road.
All right. Chip, great advice, great information. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Fred.